Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I'll give you all that happened prior to the free agency period starting in the NBA, all the player declines, player opt-ins, team options, a few trades as well, and some other notable news. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, so let's talk free agency, shall we? And the trade market as well. So we have passed the June 30th mark. So we're talking about free agency. We're talking about trades as well. A few actually happened a little before the free agency period starts. So let's get into everything. So we're going to start with, I want to just run down the list of people who declined their player option just before the June 30th mark. The players that opted in. Also the player with team options that got opted in. And also guys with declined qualified offers from their teams. And then ones with extended offers. Then we'll get into everything else. So the players that declined their player option are as follows. Bradley Beal for the Washington Wizards. He declined his $36.5 million player option. So he puts himself on the free agent marker. A lot of people feel that, he'll re-up with Washington again as well. So Bobby Portis for the Milwaukee Bucks. He opted out of his $4.6 million deal with Milwaukee. Would stand the reason since he's so beloved there, he'll re-sign back. And then James Harden, he opted out of his $47.3 million deal with Philly. So he, for all intents and purposes, it seems he's going to sign back with them. What kind of contract, we'll see. And then Patty Mills for the Brooklyn Nets, his $6.2 million deal he opted out of. I'm going to have a whole separate episode about the Nets and all that's going on there. You talk about drama. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to break it all down with the Nets. The Knicks as well. I'm going to break down everything that transpired with them in separate podcast episodes. So right now I'm just dealing with the NBA as a whole. But it stands to mention that Patty Mills opted out for the Brooklyn Nets. And then Nicholas Batum with the LA Clippers. He opted out of his $3.3 million deal. Will stand the reason he'll get signed back as well. Players that opted in. Oh, and let me just note that the salary cap has actually went up $8.5 million. In 2021, it was $112 million. And in 2022, it's now $123.6 million. So it goes up over $8 million. So anyhow, so I'm up to players that opted in. I said John Wall. He opted into his $47.4 million for the Houston Rockets. Remember, he sat out last year. They were trying to work a buyout last year. Didn't happen. And then you had Tony Bradley with Chicago. He opted out of his $2 million deal. No, I'm sorry. These are players that opted in. I'm sorry. He opted into his $2 million deal. Also, you had Russell Westbrook. He opted in on his $47.4 million his player option. So Could be on the move, though, of course. We'll see. And then there's Kyrie Irving. Again, I'll have a whole thing on him. He opted into his $36.2 million. Actually, it's $36.5 million. He opted in. So, yeah. So, and then for Denver, Jeff Green, he opted into his $4.5 million deal. So, team options. Team options that were picked up were Stanley Johnson with the LA Lakers. He was on a pretty team-friendly deal, so they picked that up. Also, Wingyan Gabriel, also with the Lakers. I don't even remember him playing, but it is what it is. The team picked that up. Chesmezi Matu with the Sacramento Kings. His option was picked up by the team also. He's the power forward there. And so he was picked up. Now, declining qualifying offers. Dante DiVincenzo of the Sacramento Kings. They declined his qualifying offer, thus making him an unrestricted free agent. So he's able to sign with any team. And then extended a qualifying offer was Colin Sexton and R.J. Imhard of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then remember, Colin Sexton early in the 2021-22 season, he tears up his knee, so he's out for the season. So they extend a qualifying offer to him. Not to say that they won't move him, but we'll see what happens there. So could be a sign and trade of sorts. We'll see. Anyhow, so that's how that shook out as far as player option, team options, qualifying offers, so forth. So let's go through the timeline here. So we had on June 15th, this was a little around during the finals, this happened. Dallas acquired Christian Wood from the Houston Rockets. They acquired him, thus trading Boban Marjanovic, Marquise Chris, Trae Young, and Sterling Brown. So you get Dallas gets a player that they very well need. They needed length. They needed, talented length. So Christian Wood, you can plug immediately there at center, and that's an immediate upgrade for them. So big pickup for Dallas, smart pickup for Dallas. So definitely that's a winning hand there. And then Washington just getting guys here. Don't see them playing substantial roles there. I can see maybe a couple of them even getting bought out. So Marjanovic, I can see him possibly not sticking around and then maybe kind of migrating back to the Dallas Mavericks. We'll see. But I can see a few of these guys getting bought out. So, because remember, Houston is going the rebuilding route. So, and a lot of these vets here probably won't see much playing time there. So there you have one deal. And then on June the 22nd, Golden State, they're talking about doing contract extensions for Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole. Remember, Golden State, they want it all, so they want to take care of the guys there that help them reach the summit, so to speak. So Andrew Wiggins, who I believe this is the last year of his deal. I believe the same is true with Jordan Poole. So you want to re-sign these guys. You want to keep them around. They fit what Steve Kerr does over there. So Andrew Wiggins, who's come a long way in his career. He had a career year this year. And remember how it started rocky because he didn't want to take the vaccine. So he does the team guy sort of thing, gets the vaccine, has an all-star season, and then in the playoffs he played very well. Definitely in the finals, he stood up to the task, and he's found a home. He's found a home here with Golden State, and good for him. He's been through it. The pressures of being the number one pick that he had in Minnesota just didn't help him much. But him going to Golden State, where he could be a third guy, really, and for intense purposes, actually a number two guy, because Clay is still kind of coming around a little bit. So this fits with what he does. So he was able to flourish there. And Jordan Poole, we know he was part of that 3-guard alignment with him, Steph, and Clay, and played very well throughout the season. Remember, he was starting until Clay got back, which was around January or so. So he was able to blend in and play well throughout. So you have that. Also, you had a trade that went down for Portland. They end up acquiring Jerami Grant. They got Jerami Grant from Detroit, along with the 46th pick in the draft in the 2022 draft, which ended up being Ismail Kamagate. He's out of France, a center who compares a lot to Clint Capella. So they were able to get him, and in return, Dallas got a protected 2025 first rounder via Milwaukee, and keep in the Nick episode that I do, keep in mind of this pick because it ends up actually floating to the Knicks somewhere in time. So it's this pick as well as a 2025 second round pick, 2026 second round pick, and also the 36th pick in the 2022 draft, which ends up being Gabriel Procida out of Italy. He's a swingman out of Italy who compares a lot to Bogdan Bogdanovic. So he's that sort of guy there, provided he comes over. Either of these guys come over from overseas. So that was the trade there. Portland gets a guy who's now, instead of being a number one over there with Detroit, now becomes a number two behind Dame Lillard. He gives you some size up front. He's 6'8", can play either forward position, can give you 18 to 20 points a game on average. So outstanding pickup for Portland, because now they want to maximize Dame's time now. They want to dedicate themselves to building something around Dame. So they bring in Jerami Grant, who's a professional vet. He's going to come in. He's going to do the work. He's going to acquiesce, and he should be a welcome addition for Coach Chauncey Billups over there. So brilliant pickup for Portland. So then we go to June 23rd, which is the day of the NBA draft. And you have a few trades that go down during the draft. Quite a few, actually. I'll just make note of one which involved the player, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers acquiring De'Anthony Melton from the Memphis Grizzlies. He's a combo guard, primarily a shooting guard, really. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, so he's going to come in. He's going to be another guy who can launch it from deep. You always have a use for that over there with Philadelphia, with being that you got the big man inside Embiid. So you add another guard there, and then in return, Memphis gets Philadelphia's 23rd pick in the draft, which ended up being David Rowdy Roddy, and he's more of like he's out of Colorado State, and he's more like a undersized power forward at 6'6", much like a Grant Williams for the Boston Celtics. So, but the thing was for Philly's trying to win now. They don't have time to wait on a young player there, so they're trying to get vets over there because they're in a win now mode as well. And also, Philadelphia was able to move Danny Green, and remember Danny Green, he tore his ACL late in the season, so his timetable, we're not even sure when he's going to be back. So Memphis gets a guy who, if he comes back, he would be a help to that team. He's a 3-and-D guy. Definitely can launch it from deep. Would be a very good addition for the Memphis Grizzlies, whose arrow is pointing up, with Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, and all those guys over there. So that was that deal. And then on the 27th of June, the Houston Rockets and John Wall works out a buyout agreement. So John Wall, remember, he opted in, so it worked out a buyout for him. So, and he's looking to sign up with the LA Clippers. So, which eventually he ends up doing, by the way. So he does this after the free agent period starts. He signs with the Clippers actually for 2 years, $13.5 million. Not to mention the money he's going to get from opting in. So John Wall will be well paid any which way you slice it. But he joins a LA Clippers team. If you get Kawhi back healthy, you already got a Paul George there. You got a Reggie Jackson there. You got Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris. So you got a formidable team over there. So you add in a John Wall. The only thing is, what does John Wall have left? He didn't play last season. Hardly played the year before. So you don't know what he has left in the tank. So yeah, so that'll be the mystery there. But if he's at least 80% of what he was, that's a big signing for the Clippers. So John Wall going over there to be with those guys over there on the other side of LA. So, and then we come to the June 28th. June 28th, on that day, we had two players sign contract extensions. Ivica Zubac for the LA Clippers. Speaking of the LA Clippers, he re-signs on. He gets a contract extension, 3 years, $33 million, which is a bargain at these rates these days. He's a center, but it's weird because he gets about 24 minutes or so, and then they'll go small. So, this is, it is a bargain at this price for what he does. They don't play him all that many minutes. So, Zubac, he fits what they do. So, Tyronn Lue's happy to have him back in the fold. So, so that's how it goes. And then the second contract extension was given to Taurean Prince, a journeyman power forward who's been around the block and back again. He's given a 2-year extension by the Minnesota Timberwolves, 2 years at $16 million. So you have that deal there. So with that said, we move on to the 29th, one day before the free agent signing period. So we see Washington and Denver making a deal. Washington getting Will Barton and Monte Morris. Will Barton, a swingman who can pretty much give you positive minutes at small forward, but he can also fill in as shooting guard as well. So you have him there, and then you get a Monte Morris. Monte Morris, a point guard who had to fill in all last season for the absent Jamal Murray. Remember, he had the knee injury, so you had him manning the fort, also along with Fasunda Campazzo. So between those two guys, they were manning the fort. Still made the playoffs, so that's a good thing. But Monte Morris can kind of come here and be the guy as far as point guard go. They don't really have much in the way of that right now. So it's pretty much his job to lose. And then also, he played actually in his youth with Kyle Kuzma, so there's history there between those guys. So kind of expecting a seamless transition for him playing under Wes Unseld Jr. So I expect him to play a significant role there, obviously. So yeah. So and then for Denver, what they did, they got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's strictly a shooting guard, guys. So you got him there, and you made a deal for Ish Smith. Let me deal with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's kind of like a guy they had in the fold over there. Gary Harris, for many years, was over there. A 3-and-D guy. A guy that's going to, D up your opposing shooting guard and who can light it up from long distance. That's who Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is. So he fits the mold there. As for Ish Smith, a point guard who's bounced around the league. In fact, this is his 13th team he's been with in his 12-year career. Mind you, he's been with two teams twice, and that's Washington and Philadelphia. So talk about being around the block and back again. But he comes over here as the third guard, because once Murray gets back, Campazzo, he's there, so he'll be like the third guard. So it's kind of a downgrade of speak for the Denver Nuggets, but nonetheless, what you can do. And actually, this is kind of great news for the New York Knicks in a way, because if somehow, some way, this team is competitive, the Knicks own one of their draft picks for 2023. I'll get to that when I talk about the Knicks in that episode. So I'll talk about that more later. But Washington with a chance to be somewhat competitive. So we'll see what happens there. And then the second deal on that day, the 29th, was Dejounte Murray. A lot of rumors talking about where he would go, what he would do as far as him being traded, him being shipped out of San Antonio. So the day came and they did it. Dejounte Murray, who you end up sending to Atlanta. So Dejounte Murray, who was an all-star last year, led the league in steals, was second in triple-doubles behind the Joker, Nikola Jokic. So Dejounte Murray with a fantastic season. Now, it was rumored the Knicks being in the mix, but what it came down to, guys, Dejounte Murray's is a clutch client, Rich Paul and them. So, Trae Young, also a clutch client. So the thinking was, let's pair two clutch guys together. So, you now have Trae Young. Now Trae Young doesn't have to have the ball in his hand all the time. You got a Murray there who can distribute and do his own thing there. Now you got Trae Young who could play off the ball, which could definitely help him, that's for sure. So, and in getting Murray, they gave up Danilo Gallinari, their forward, who will probably be bought out, as it seems. We'll talk about that later. But they also get from Atlanta 3 draft picks. So you got 2023 first rounder via Charlotte, 2025 first round pick, and then you got a 2027 first round pick as well as a future swap of picks in 2026, depending on who has the better record between either themselves or Atlanta. So with that said, they pay a high price, guys. They pay a high price. Also, they shave $23 million in cap space off their books especially once they buy out Gallinari. So with that, guys, I have to say, San Antonio did themselves favors here. So, San Antonio, they have their eyes on getting one of the first 2 picks in the draft, either Victor Wembanyama from France, this do-it-all center from France, or Scoot Henderson, who's a guard out of the G League Ignite, who's supposed to be setting things afire in that league. So San Antonio got their eyes on either guy. They wouldn't mind having either one in the fold. So San Antonio, they're looking towards the future. Right now they're playing chess, not checkers. They're looking long term. So we'll see what happens there in regard to them. But Atlanta kind of in a win now mode, going with Murray and Trae in your backcourt. They didn't deal Collins, which a lot of people thought that would be the case. So you still have Collins in the mix, Capella. I don't think the Hawks are done yet, but we'll see what happens in terms of free agency and trades and all that stuff. So that is the deal there. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it here. But when I get back on the other side, I'll start talking free agency. And then there's a bit of disturbing news in the NBA. I want to cover that first. So, all right, guys. So just stick and stay with us. And I'll be back on the other side to tell you about everything that's happened post free agency. And, of course, this ugly incident as well. So I'll be back shortly, guys. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www.allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So Once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. And take care and be safe.